Being a being a creative person is a difficult life. Being a creative person is a difficult life because you keep coming up with new things. And it's not that you sit and then you try to think about something new, but new things just arise in your awareness. What does this mean? This means that your perception is creative. Things just come to you in new ways. So you are seeing new organizations in your perception constantly. And when you do, there is already established traditional system established, and then if you keep finding new things or new ways things should run, it's just not going to be stable. We need stability so that the systems can function and flourish. And this is why, if you are a creative person, then you are right at the bottom of the social hierarchy because nobody wants you to be the leader. Just imagine somebody very creative, very open, who is a leader. They are going to keep changing things, and those things are just not going to sustain or turn out to be fruitful. So it does make sense why creative people are right at the bottom. Being creative is the, you know, being creative is the precursor to becoming an artist, for example. And we respect artists a lot. So then it seems very opposite to each other that we respect artists. Artists create cultures, for example. They help carry forward the cultural activities we have, for example. Every culture has music, even religious music. Every culture has costumes that are different, right? So it was an artist to figure it out. But still, right at the bottom of the social hierarchy, we find all the creative people to be. So then look at a company, right? A company, a business runs, and how do they hire people to do most of the job? You send out a resume. The resume is not gonna figure out your creativity, it's gonna figure out your conscientiousness. Now, conscientiousness means that you can do things diligently. It means that you can stick to a schedule and just keep going, so that work will keep going, right? So you need conscientious people. But if a company is full of conscientious people, then the innovation dies. Now, again, you need somebody very creative to be at the top so that you can solve new problems. For example, sometimes you need a creative person so that they can find the problems nobody knew existed, or find solution to problems that don't exist right now. So you need that kind of brain, otherwise the company dies. Take a great example of Apple, for example. It was brought from the ground by Jobs, and then Jobs was fired. What happened when Jobs left the company, or when he was fired from the company went to shit, and then he was hired again. So innovation came back again to Apple, right? So at in every single healthy company or healthy group of people, it could also be a healthy society. The people who are running shit are they do have creativity. They do have divergent thinking. Now, divergent thinking means that a person thinks about multiple solutions to a problem almost in a flow state. And that is creativity, right? And being an artist is to develop your divergent thinking, or not even develop really, but maintain your divergent thinking because you're already a creative person by nature, for instance. And so that led me to think, okay, we respect artists a lot, and then let's think about a serious thinker who paid a lot of respect to the artist. So think about Arthur Schopenhauer. Arthur Schopenhauer, the classic pessimist, believed life was empty. There is this great essay by him titled Emptiness of Existence. And there he says that people spend most of their time thinking about the past that doesn't exist, or worry about the future that hasn't come yet. But even the people who say they stay in the present, they don't, because present doesn't exist. Because something you acknowledge as, oh, this is the present, it's actually the immediate past. So he said life is empty. He was a really huge, crazy, angry, full of angst pessimist. So he said life is suffering, and he said there are only two ways you can escape suffering. One way is that you become an artist, the second way is that you become a saint. So now let's try to understand what he meant when he said that life is suffering, right? Like why is suffering in the world? He said that is because of our will to live. So our will to live, that would mean that people are addicted to living. This would mean that they need power, they need desire, they need comparisons, for example, to feel better. That is the will to live, an addiction to life. And that is why there is suffering. Why? Because as soon as you achieve a thing, you are bored. If you don't have a thing, then you are just sad. So he said that human life just oscillates between sadness and boredom. And that is suffering, right? So in order to escape that oscillation between suffering or sadness and boredom, you need to become either an artist or a saint. Now, what does it mean to become an artist according to him? Being an artist, according to him, means that you achieve a flow state while you are producing something. So it could be music, it could be like you are out on a run, right? You try to lose your sense of self for a while. You listen to music, या फिर you watch a movie, या फिर you read a book, whatever the fuck you do, right? Any kind of art, you paint, whatever you do. And while you're engaged in that activity, you lose your sense of self. And when you lose your sense of self, when you lose that autobiographical sense of life, you escape suffering temporarily. Temporarily. And that's what he said. Artist, being an artist, or being engaged in an art, and in modern terms, we can say achieving a flow state. He said that you achieve a flow state, but then it's just a temporary relief when it comes to suffering. What's a more permanent relief? That would be to become a saint. Now, according to him, to become a saint is to, again, the typical Buddhist idea that you understand everything is an illusion. You free yourself from attachment. So, once you free yourself from attachment, there is no suffering. I don't think that's true. I don't think suffering can be escaped. And the meaning of life is not to get rid of suffering. The meaning of life is to churn suffering into meaning. That's what it is. And so, being an artist, I was thinking actually, being an artist, I do believe that you can. Being an artist is a better way to live life, but I do not agree with the reasons Schopenhauer gave. And I don't even think that being an artist is going to give you a temporary relief, whatever he meant by it. I will try to define relief from suffering to be that you feel a sense of meaning even when you're suffering. So that is going to be the relief from suffering or the cure of suffering. But being an artist is going to get rid of it permanently. How? Now imagine that you are at the bottom of the hierarchy because you are a creative person. It's you have good reasons to be, because you keep coming up with new ideas. You don't have any stability in your own life either, right? Because you're a creative person, you just think about new ways to do things, and then you want to engage in new ways of doing things because you get bored too quickly, right? You're a creative person, you are an artist. Very, very good reasons to be right at the bottom. But then if you're an artist, right, you have to think about what does it mean to be an artist. You are creative, number one, obviously. That's the cardinal trait. Number two will be you look for problems. That would be a great way to think how an artist operates. Take music for an example, right? I see a lot of videos where music producers always have trouble with little section of their music. It's a problem they're trying to solve. It would be if somebody's a writer, for example, right? They're trying to find a problem. Now, problems can be anything. It can be a societal problem that you want to solve. So you're finding new ways to solve it because the ways that are around maybe work in theory, yeah, they just cannot be executed properly, right? So it's a problem. And creative people trying to figure out how to solve that problem. But being an artist is like before you think about solving a problem, you have to uh, bring that problem in front of your eyes. So being an artist is like you express something which has not been expressed before. So imagine like there is a problem you see in the world that nobody else does, but you see it because you're a creative person. So then you express it. That's what being an artist is. You can think about like businessmen, right? People who run business, they are also artists because running a business is a crazy thing. It's like riding a wild animal, and always you get some new problems that were not around and you can't google them. So you have to really sit there and think about how are you going to solve those problems, and you do that consistently. You have to do it again and again and again. That's what it's like to be an artist. Being an artist to remedy suffering, for example, right, or to churn it into meaning. Being an artist and wanting to churn Suffering into meaning would just be that the best product of you being an artist is you yourself. Like pursuit of an art, it can be anything, right? It can be business, it can be raising kids, it can be go for a profession. If you are solving problems consistently and you are doing in creative ways because that's the only way you know how to do things, the best product, the best art that you are producing is you yourself, is your psyche, it's your the way you are adjusting your perceptions, for example, or you're developing your perceptions. That is your best part. And the products you create, the products you have to sell, it can be a skill you acquired that you're selling, yeah, it can be a painting, or it can be a song, or it can be a book. That is only the byproduct of you becoming, the best product that you are creating in a way as you engage in an art form. That's just what it is. That is what being an artist is. And if you are engaged in that, then obviously you have a purpose. Because purpose is not something that you can articulate. Purpose is a feeling. Purpose is an affect that you want to do something. Goals are things that you can articulate. So being a creative person, your purpose is already clear. If you're a creative person, you're curious 100%. So that's curiosity is close to purpose. For example, you want to look for new things. But why do artists find it very difficult to monetize their art? And I understand, like, way before, when there was no internet, it was difficult to monetize your art, but now it's very easy to monetize your art. And if you as an artist are not able to monetize your art and create influence, then that is also a problem where you have to use your creative energies to solve that problem. And it's not just creative energies, really, it's also about execution. It's also about, there is one thing to sit and contemplate how many difficulties or obstacles are going to be there for you to achieve your goal, so that you keep following your purpose. But then when you engage in action, newer problems emerge, problems that you could not foresee. Because definitely, like, there's going to be a time you're going to do it for the first time and you don't know shit when you do things for the first time. I said the creative energy needs to become universal. It does not have to be one dimensional. That okay, if you like to draw, for example, and you're an artist of that sort, then if your creativity is only unidimensional and it only comes out when you are painting, or if you are a musician and your creativity only comes out when you're making music, then you're not really using your creativity. You're not solving problems. You are a person who can think of alternatives, different routes to reach to the same place. Why not expand it and better yourself in that fashion? So I think that is what the problem is. Artists fail to make money because their creative energies are very unidimensional. They only work on one thing. I'm a musician, so that's all there is. But then if you're a musician, you can think about things in thousand ways. So obviously you can also think about the problem of not being able to monetize your work. That's also a problem we need to solve, and think about alternatives, like what can you do and what course of action you need to take. So yeah, Schopenhauer was a little inaccurate to say that it's only going to be a temporary relief, because his way is to engage in art as if like it's not gonna change you as a person. I mean, how often do you come across a piece of art and it's just like your life before witnessing that art, and after that it's just not the same? Something happened to you. The artist who created that art put something in your head that was completely inarticulate to you. That's what artists do, right? And that's why they are very important. But then it's also very important for us to not give creative people that high spot of leadership, because you have to earn that spot, right? Because if you're a creative person at the bottom, you are no good. That's why you're at the bottom. But then you have to prove your worth and reach up there, and then change what you want to change. Because here's the thing, we are, and I am also an artist. There's a thing that there's a hypocrisy where we look at traditionalists and we criticize them for being very close minded, but then we don't look at ourselves and think that we are being very open minded. I mean, don't we think that somebody who's very open minded, I mean, crazy open minded, looks for new things all the time, is not going to have a good life, because you're not going to have any stability. What are you going to ground your shit on? How are you going to have a system that runs if you keep changing the system? How are you even going to start something, right? Like if you have 1,000 ways to start a thing, you're not gonna. So you gotta embrace a little bit of traditionalist inside of you. And if you have done that, then you can criticize the traditionalist. Because you know what? If you are a creative person and you're not working on your execution, then you are no different than the people you criticize. People who don't change and people who just stay the same because they are playing a safer bet. They are going with the traditional systems and norms that already work. So they're doing a better thing anyway. Being a creative person, being an artist is actually, you have such a great responsibility to actually climb up the hierarchy and take the leadership position. But it's going to be very difficult. I mean, that's why when you if you achieve that position, you're going to be a person worth it, and then some good shit is going to happen in the world. Because sometimes I do really believe people can have this narcissism that they have great ideas to change the world, but if they are given the position, they're just not going to do it, because they will just get bored of it maybe, and then now they want to do something else. It's like a carrot in front of a donkey, right? And that's why it's a blessing and a curse to be an artist. But it's a curse before it's a blessing, because being creative is a curse that you have to turn into a blessing. It's just not going to turn into a blessing by itself. And the way you turn into a blessing is by not having your creative power to be focused on only one thing. You gotta universalize that thing. It has to not only be, if you're a musician, it does not only have to be only in music that you're creative. It also have to be, you have to be creative in your real life. You have to be a creative person. Why? Because the artist's best work is he himself or she himself. It's not the creative products that come out. Creative products are simply the byproducts of you just being an artist. And think about, like, as soon as we become creative people, become concerned about the piece of art we are putting out in the world, our art goes to shit. If you sit somewhere and you go as a musician again that, oh, I want to create a song which is this and that, you're already limited yourself, right? And the bad kind of limitation, because you're thinking too much about how this thing's supposed to sound. Then you're gonna get perfectionism and all that bullshit, and that's not gonna be good anyway. So you're not gonna climb the social hierarchy or dominance hierarchy by being yourself. I mean, if you are a, if you're at the bottom of the hierarchy, then there is no purpose to be yourself. You gotta, like, climb up the hierarchy, create yourself, create a better version, and then be that version. Like, that's what the idea is. But we usually don't go with that, do we? And and then there is this lethargy artists have, that yeah, we can't monetize our work. Of course you can't monetize your work. Are you conscientious? Are you diligent? Like, people who are above the hierarchy, they at least have one trait, that they are diligent, be it that they are creative or not, or they are intelligent or not. Because here's the thing, something that helps you to climb up the hierarchy is not intelligence either. It's conscientiousness. It's you being able to be dutiful, you being able to be diligent, stick to a schedule. That's what pulls you up the hierarchy. And to believe that intelligence and conscientiousness have any kind of correlation, they don't. They have zero correlation. And zero correlation means having high intelligence doesn't mean you're going to have high or low conscientiousness. Those two things, those two variables have no connection with each other. So this doesn't mean that if you're an intelligent person, you're going to climb up the dominance hierarchy. You're not. If you're a creative person, you're going to climb up the dominance hierarchy. You are not. You should. If you're a creative person, you should climb that up, but you are not going to climb it up without being diligent, without having conscientiousness, because conscientiousness is what pulls you up to be above the dominance hierarchy. That's how you do it. And I think the time is just, it's just simply like when you pursue a creative endeavor and you are trying to enhance your conscientiousness, suffering just won't matter. I mean, who the fuck has the time to think about suffering then? You're engaged in turning everything into meaning. You have this purpose you're chasing, right? Because suffering exists when you're moving away from a thing. Think about this, right? Think about an addict. An addict moves towards a substance, or moves towards a person, or moves towards anything, not because they want that thing. It seems they're moving towards it, but they're moving away from the psyche they have inside of them, right? Like, they're sitting somewhere and they feel a certain way. They don't want to feel that certain way. That's why they're going somewhere else. That is what an addict is, and that is what suffering is. And so, if you pick up an ideal, for example, if you pick up something, if you pick up a purpose and you say, okay, I want to move there, bam, that's gonna not get rid of suffering. Suffering's gonna be there, but suffering is gonna be your counterpart. Suffering is not gonna be something you're bothered by. So, in conclusion, this is what I believe. Schopenhauer was wrong to say that being an artist would give you a temporary relief from suffering. Number one, Suffering cannot be relieved. You can only change it. It's like a river flow, right? You can only change the direction. You can't stop the river. That's what suffering is. And the way you relieve your suffering a little bit, according to the great CageUnbound, is by turning it into meaning. That is it. And how do you do that? Everything was discussed before.